Okay, well, I'm really excited for this conversation. I'm here with Alli Arruda, and we have come into together, I guess, into each other's world by way of MCM Mastermind. You are one of the fabulous coaches within the container itself, and so much more. You're also a Canadian. We were just talking about maybe the common connections that we have, but you're also in the health and wellness space, something that is so near and dear to my heart. Full-heartedly believe in all of that. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Brittany. I'm so excited to see you and spend this quality time together.
Thank you. Maybe I know this isn't the most ideal, fun kind of question right off the bat, but can you give a little bit of who you are, what you're about?
Yeah. So I'm based in Burlington, Ontario, fellow Canadian, as Brittany mentioned. And have been I'm Canadian through and through, born and raised in the prairies, moved to Toronto to go to Ryerson University for fashion communications. It was a program I was so excited to get into and I loved it. Had a great 4 year experience there. And my post university journey has been like pretty colorful in terms of what I have done, but yet I feel like I have collected skills and experiences through every point of my career path to launch me into the world of entrepreneurship. That I was the stylist for MTV Canada, which was so fun. It was in the time of the hills, so it was like extra vibrant.
Very cool.
Public relations with a big focus on health, wellness, and beauty products and brands. And then I worked in corporate for 6.5 years in luxury automotive. And that was really where I fell in love with planning events, sponsorship, philanthropy, marketing. And I met my husband. And for 6.5 years now, it was back in 2019, we started the world of entrepreneurship that was based out of passion, a journey that started when I was 18, a passion for fitness. And I had always wanted to be a personal trainer. And so I said to Matt when we got married in 2017, okay, once our wedding, once that like big, beautiful project has been complete, I want to do my personal training certification because this is a dream that I've had for years. And he was very supportive, became a personal trainer. I started working for an F45 franchise where I would teach, 5:30, 6:30 a.m. classes, come home, get ready, drive an hour to corporate and work a full day, drive home, work out, and was not afraid to do it all. And then an opportunity came our way in 2018 to buy the gym that we now own, that we were actually members of at the time. And it was, obviously an important hobby, if you will, working out, bettering yourself. And the opportunity to purchase the gym came our way and was something that we had started chatting about that we wanted to do, but like a 5 year plan. And that's the cool thing about opportunity, that so often it comes to you when you are not looking for it, when you least expect it. And I'm grateful that it did. And we bought it in June of 2019. So I'm sure people are already listening to this and they're doing the mental math of the calendar and the years. That's
Yep.
right. We did some renovations, we rebranded, we relaunched in November 2019. And guess what came just a few months after that?
Oh my gosh, seriously. Yep.
Insert dramatic pause.
Oh, I mean, you're right though. Like, there's certain things that come around in life that we're not prepared for timing wise, and you launched into this. So, yeah, please continue telling us what happened. How did you guys navigate that storm?
Oh my gosh. And sometimes I think about this question, I was like, I really wish I had a more articulate answer. But I think the biggest answer is that we just knew failure wasn't an option, that we were brand new into this. And I will say that Matt actually was still working in corporate for probably up until last year, actually. He worked for someone else up until last year, that we ran the business together, but he always had somewhere else to be for, that 9 to 5, quote unquote, air quotes. And I was the face in the gym day after day. But when the pandemic rolled around, we really knew that, like, yeah, this is just not, we've invested a lot of money into this business. So we're not going to fail. We're going to do everything we can. And so grateful that we did have other streams of income coming in. So I am a big, big champion for multiple streams of income. And we closed our doors for the 2 weeks where we thought we were doing that cute little flatten the curve moment. It
Cute
wasn't.
little, I like that. Yeah, cute little. And Canadians, it was even worse for us.
Oh my gosh, it was. And then you take Canada, you take Ontario, you take the fitness industry. It was so bad. As again, someone who's a champion of moving your body for the impact it has on your mental health, your emotional health, and then obviously, yes, your physical health. It was just a brutal time. And I mean, I think everyone listening, watching would know that. And so we just had to roll up our sleeves and know that, yeah, we are in this for the long haul and we'll do everything in our power to keep this entrepreneurship business train moving forward, and learned a lot of lessons along the way. We lost a ton of members. It was catastrophic. And it was upsetting for like the first week. And then eventually you just kind of become not numb to it, but you learn that, hey, everyone has to make a choice that's good for them. And I think in business, like we are constantly learning lessons. Everything that happens in our business, good, bad, always so often has a lesson extracted to it, or pardon me, that you can extract from it. And that was something we learned quickly, that yeah, people have to make a decision that's best for themselves. And you can't be everything to everyone.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely not. I say that all the time. It's impossible.
It's
Yeah.
one of the best lessons it was like a self-taught lesson where I had an aha moment. I'm like, oh my God, yes, I will never please everyone. Our gym will never be for everyone. The music we play will never make every single member happy. The Wi-Fi speed, like everything you can extract from your business, you will never please everyone. And so we realized that early on. We're like, okay, great, lesson learned. And then we rolled into like 2023 was kind of when we first got to pick up momentum. February 2023 onwards, we've been able to operate month over month, year over year, which is very exciting now to have, almost 3 years. We're like, woo, we've run a consistent business for 3 years. Had it for six and a
Absolutely.
half. But that's when we really turned a corner and we started investing heavily in personal development, in masterminds and coaching. And that has been a massive game changer for us as business owners, for us as individuals, and for our business itself.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I think that like so many of us get into movement for the physical benefits of it, but then we end up staying for how it does make us feel and for how it changes us really at that mental core, right? And so I am not surprised that then you went down obviously that path and where that leads and the connections and the different conversations that you have, but I truly believe that you have built this brand around both movement and mindset. So, maybe what was the first moment you realized that movement was really more than physical, that it actually shifted your mental health?
So I love this question. And it actually goes back to when I was 18. That's how old I was, getting ready to move from Winnipeg to Toronto for university. And then in August of 2004, my brother Garrett had, prior to that, for 4 years, he had been battling bipolar disorder, and it was on and off, on and off. And he hated being on medication. And so he chose to turn to exercise and found that that had such a positive benefit to him working through bipolar disorder, and was actually at one point he was able to get off of his medication and really focus on exercise and got into marathon running. Marathon running, not an energetic match for me, but loved that for him. However, unfortunately, we lost him in August of 2004. And that was probably the first moment in my life where like my life has changed. And not so much even a rock bottom moment, because I think still at 18, like obviously you're a developed human, but you still have so much life to live. But it was like my first experience with trauma. And still progressed, moving to Toronto, going to a new city, starting new school, program, make new friends, work, all of these new things that you experience as a late teenager, and starting this whole new beautiful chapter of your life. And realize that I could have stayed home in Winnipeg and gone to, University One and not have an area of focus, but chose that no, I worked so hard to get into this program. I am one of 100 people to get into this program. I'm going to go. And so grateful I did. And I've had a few examples in my life since then where could have taken the easy way out, even our business in COVID. Like totally, we could have just closed up shop and be like, you know what? I'm going to go back to corporate. That's going to be easier. And I think that was actually a message on our MCM mastermind call today, that as entrepreneurs, we choose the hard route. We choose the challenging route. And maybe that is even like a fast forward lesson back when I was 18. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go. It's going to be definitely the more challenging decision. But I have taken that experience with me all throughout my life. And so my why I move is so deeply rooted in how it makes me feel. And yes, I love to be able to do a pull up and have, like good glutes and all of that. But it's really being able to go on a hike if I'm traveling, carrying a suitcase, putting it up in the overhead bin, longevity, being able to touch my toes, things like that, but also generate good energy that I can pour into relationships, that I can pour into my time at home with my husband, my dogs, all of those things, and just have this great vessel that I take care of. And also this the great batch of energy that I can pour into my business as well.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Like lifespan, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, the wellness side of that. Just the honesty that you come with and being so open about the mental health side also. I think that's something that we need more real conversations around. And because you're so attached to your why, you can see why you're so resilient, why you don't let all of these factors that you could have quit on every single time allow you to quit. No, absolutely. I just see that it's such a strong tie to yourself. And that's so beautiful. What
Thank
has
you.
your personal journey with this mental health, your brother growing from 18 with that also, how has that taught you about strength and resiliency and vulnerability?
I think I've had a few lessons along the way, and that definitely being the first one. And I have been very open about his passing since, let's call it, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 months after it happened. It's hard to be super open right after because you're dealing obviously with your very fresh emotions. And everyone is different, but I actually found it quite cathartic for me to talk openly about it. And then we entered a time where, when it first happened, mental health didn't get the attention that it should have. And then it does now. And when we were getting ready to honor his 10-year anniversary of his passing, I'm now like late 20s. Matt and I have started dating. I'm working in corporate. I had decided, okay, it's going to be his 10-year anniversary. I want to honor this in a way that has impact. So I decided I'm going to organize an event. And so I did an event. It was called the Dragonfly Affair. I have a dragonfly tattoo with a G initial in it because they were very symbolic when he passed. And I mean, the story of the dragonfly, if you're on the woo scale, it's a really beautiful story.
I am. I'll go look it up.
Yeah. Appreciate it. So I was like, I'm going to have this event. It's called the Dragonfly Affair. And it was a cocktail party. We had someone from CAMH, so that's the Center for Addiction and Mental Health here. And they spoke a little bit about what they do and the impact that they have. And the whole evening was a fundraiser for CAMH. So we had a killer raffle and I had live music, people that actually volunteered their time. I would hire them all the time in corporate. And they're like, yeah, we'll come play. So it was a really beautiful evening and being able to do that as a mark of his 10 years. But what I wanted to attach to this point that I was sharing is that right in that same week of having this event in August, I chose to do it right around his anniversary date. Robin Williams took his life. And I feel like the world like just grieved that so deeply. And that was like an aha moment of like, oh my gosh, mental health. That's a thing. We need to pay more attention to it. And then there was like sort of unfortunately, like a little bit of a series of some really well-known like Hollywood actors that also took their life, and it was rooted in mental health. And obviously when you know someone's so notable and credible, you kind of just, even though you don't know them personally, you still grieve the loss of that person. And 10 years, like that 10-year mark onwards, I feel like people are much more aware of it and there's more that you can do. And things like exercise and moving your body and moving energy can be such a beautiful way to deal with that. But also, seeking the support from experts. And I'm so grateful that there's so many options now for people to seek the support that they need.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I think that we've come so far in the conversation around it. There's still so far to go, but it definitely helps open doors when people are brave enough to show up and have those conversations because, it takes the fear away from other people to do the same, I think.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
talking about it, I mean, you want to know when and where. I heard Jen Gottlieb say this once from her book, Be Seen, and she's great. And I love the book. She had talked about open wounds and closed wounds. And so I use like my brother Garrett as an example. It's been now 20 plus years that I've been without. Like now I've lived more than half of my life without him, which is so crazy when I say it out loud. But it is a closed wound. I can talk about him with so much love, my memories. I mean, obviously, I wish I could change things and that he was here and I could do things with him on a weekend. But it's something that I have been able to speak so openly and candidly about that it is a closed wound. Even the pandemic, I'm like, I can talk about that, no problem. It's kind of a low vibe topic, but it's, and we actually talked about this when Matt and I were recently away at our in person mastermind that we invest in and we attend, talking about things that happen in your life, in your business, that are part of your story, but they're not your identity.
Oh my gosh, amen to that. I love that.
Isn't that
Yep.
so powerful? And so we have often struggled in our when Matt and I just started chat about our business and our messaging and our marketing. I'm like, I don't want our story about COVID and staying open to be like what we're known for. Now, it did teach us a ton about resiliency. So I actually really love the word resilient because I was like, yes, I am resilient. Some of the things that we've gone through.
Absolutely.
I love that it can be part of your story and not your identity.
Yeah. I mean, you're not just leading in the gym, really. And you hit on a word also, impact, and that is like a word that just is through and through in me also. That's how I want to lead and show up. But so you have the gym, which is almost like this visual, right? But you're leading within it and you're leading women in business and like what more are you doing there? I know you're also doing coaching. Like there's obviously this structure that comes together so beautifully when you are so open to having those conversations to then what's next. And I feel like there's so much more in you there. And I know you do the girlfriend walks and yeah, like what is it all about?
So, a big through line through what we do is community. We love to build community, whether it's in the walls at Benchmark Fitness, a career boutique gym downtown Burlington, Ontario, but also in the events that I do, whether it's things like a sweat and sip, it's a workout event at a cool venue, or the girlfriend walk events that are like they're cheap and cheerful, that it's a low ticket cost. And I really, some people are probably listening to this, like, why am I paying to use my legs to walk? But it's actually about accountability, which I'm also huge on. And so
Yeah,
there's
I
actually
hear
a
you.
lot of common themes. And people will always take things more seriously when they have to invest something in it. You want to do a free workout? Cool. You have 100 RSVPs. You're going to have like 35 people that show up because there's always something better to do, something more important to do. You can listen to your body, like, I don't feel like it. So as soon as someone invests their hard earned money to have skin in the game, then they're going to have a different level of accountability and a different show up rate.
Yeah, we pay to pay attention.
Yes, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
community is a massive thing, but also fitness. And I don't want to say like, oh, to work with me, you have to be super fit. That's not true, but it's about the discipline behind fitness because working out will absolutely make you 1% better. If you haven't worked out for a week and then you work out on, day 8, well, you're going to be 1% better on day 8 than you were on day 7. And if you do that again after that, there is, work with me and see me in a few different ways between events, the gym, and coaching, whether, you're local and we can do it in person or online. But the through line is like having great energy, like big on energy magnetism, building community and building discipline through healthy habits. And the biggest thing that I connect with is moving your body.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you're just speaking my language here, but why do you think that these days women, like we're speaking women here, so need more spaces like your women's walks, like, more spaces like this more than ever?
I think especially coming out of, 2020 to like 2023, we were told to do something that is not in our human DNA. We were told to not be around people. Isn't that so crazy? And take the thing out of it that some people or maybe hear that, but just a basic human need is community. And yet for 3 years, we were told to not have that. So 2023, 2020 to 24 is probably a clunky year where you're basically like reintegrating into doing things, or you're going to the office, kids going back to sports, whatever it may be. 2024 to here we are towards the end of 2025. we are like reintegrating and reconnecting with ourselves and with others. And so I think now it is so integral for people to have things on their calendar that stretch them and get them to be social and be in community. And maybe you've also lost a ton of relationships along the way. Maybe you've changed and you've changed your identity. Are you an entrepreneur now versus, in 23, you were in corporate? So you're probably seeking different types of energy and conversations. So people need to get in person and be in environments that energize them, that excite them, that expand them, that inspire them. And we say this all the time about Benchmark, that I think it is, obviously I'm very biased because it is ours, but I think it is such a great gym to be around if you are someone who like seeks inspiration and you want to have up-leveled conversations and see people doing big, cool things, but also being at events, and maybe it's a $35 event that you can go to and make one new connection.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Like connection. I started this podcast during COVID because I was like, I want more, like you're missing that. So whether you're on a screen or in person, at least there is that connective piece. You mentioned, so you and Matt finally got the business underway, and then you're like, okay, like what's next in terms of you getting out into community, looking for new networks, the mastermind yourself. What was it within you guys that knew it was time to next level?
So I was a massive fan of the Chris Harder podcast, loved the Chris Harder show, still do. And I was listening to it and I was hearing him talk about these like round table strategy sessions. There were a 2-day event. And I was like, well, this feels like pretty cool. So maybe we should look into this. So he and I, like Chris and I, dialogued on DMs. There might have even been some voice notes in there via Instagram. And sure enough, Matt and I invested in going to his first ever one. It would have been in March 2023. And we had a freaking blast. We had never really done anything like that before, certainly not as immersive. There was maybe like 14 to 16 of us in the room. And it was so valuable to us. One of the biggest takeaways was someone asking us why our Benchmark Instagram was in black and white. I was speechless. I was like, because I thought it looked cool. And I just think that is what's so cool about being in mastermind rooms and energies is that someone can ask you the most simple, direct question. And you're like, oh my God, never thought about that. That makes so much sense.
It is so true. Yeah. It doesn't
Right.
always have to be these big things. It's like right under our nose sometimes, right? But yeah,
Absolutely. And thankfully, it cost $0 to change it to color because
very true.
sometimes your takeaways are thousands of dollars so you have to invest. But I was like, that I can do overnight. And so we got back to the hotel and I messaged our social team. I was like, I need a 9 grid of the logo in color. And that is our transition piece. And then we're going to color. And now people can truly see what our gym looks like, what kind of people come there, what kind of exercises. You can tell that the plants are real. And we got so much out of that. But also the biggest thing that we went in for, we were struggling with adjusting our prices. And we worked through that, but also went a layer deeper with Chris. And then we had this amazing guest appearance from Mel Abraham. And they actually spent some quality time with us and probably had like 30 extra minutes of deep dive. And they were asking us questions to really understand what is the root cause why we had so much fear about changing our price. And it was one person that had said something completely, it probably actually would be out of line and untrue, sent in an email during the COVID years. So grain of salt also. And it was like a trauma that we had carried with us for about 2 years. And it actually still, like her name still comes up in some conversations when Matt and I talk about things in the business. We're like, oh, it's her moment. I won't say her name. She's probably not listening to this podcast, but just for respect.
Why do you think, like, I just, there's so much in this that resonates, though. I think a lot of people have fear around money and conversations and charging what you feel your value is, right? Why do you think that's so common?
I think it's because money is a topic that everybody has different opinions about. And I think even growing up, we are kind of taught that you don't talk about money or religion or politics. And that is probably why so many of us, and I think for sure that I would imagine that the split would be a larger percentage of women being afraid to talk about money. Because even if you are Like I was raised, my dad was a pilot, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And great. I had a wonderful childhood, lovely upbringing, went on family vacations, all of that. But that's like kind of what you're classically programmed to understand. Like dad works, mom stays at home. And I know that there are absolutely families that are not like that. But I think that was like old school kind of classic upbringing. So then I think some women are just wired to like not be in control of their finances or want to earn a lot of money or have a big, beautiful life. And it is so interesting to see what that looks like now when it comes to people's money mindsets. And that's something that, I mean, I've been working on mine pretty diligently for the last year. I'm working with a coach, masterminds, books, podcasts, and it's something I think you can always work on. And I'm actually quite fascinated by it, of really tapping into people's money mindsets and what are the blocks? Like, where does that block come from? And it could be way back to your childhood of how,
I'd probably guarantee it would be, right? Like,
right? Like you have a therapist on this call right now and this conversation of like, oh, inner child work right
yeah,
there.
exactly. Yep, turn back.
Yes. But there's probably so many people like listening to this that like, who has heard money doesn't grow on trees,
Oh my gosh, right?
right?
Or is the child like pretending you had a money tree and like,
Totally.
oh my
So
gosh.
you grow up either being in households that say things like that or being around company that says things like that. And this is a perfect opportunity to insert, you know, you're the sum of the people, the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you are trying to have an expansive money mindset and you are spending time with your best friends or moms on the playground, wherever it may be, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so broke. Oh, I hate when the credit card bill comes in. Like you have all these fear or scarcity comments coming at you. Well, how are you supposed to build a beautiful relationship with money?
Oh, it's so true. Even Lori was saying to all of us that like I can't even associate myself with people that are like going through a divorce or something, right? Because it is kind of the same. It's the way that your mind starts to see and pick up things. And so you have to tell your mind what you want it to hear because it doesn't know subconscious versus conscious.
And I see that too. And I can always make a parallel from a fitness and healthy habits lifestyle. Like if you want to lose 10 pounds, you want to lose 50 pounds, who are you going to spend your time with? Are you going to spend time with people that want to go to the movies? Nothing wrong with going to the movies. But are you going to go to the movies, let's call it like once a week, and you're going to have like a large popcorn and a large fountain drink and maybe a box of M's or whatever the movie snacks are? Then like you're probably not going to be like, oh, I have a Ziploc of broccoli. That's what I'm going to have. Like it's not, you're probably not bringing that.
I'm like, well, maybe not quite, but maybe closer.
I mean, I might, like I'm kind of extreme. Like I brought my own snacks. I have done it
Oh, I
before.
love it.
But it's just like who you spend your time around.
Absolutely. It is. It really is through and through. What's the most powerful truth that you've learned through building your business?
One of the first ones was just that I can never please everyone. And whether it's me as an individual or us as a brick and mortar business, kind of like two separate columns and two separate awarenesses, knowing that you can't be for everyone. And my friend Erin King says something, and I'm going to try to say this eloquently, but I think she got it from her grandma, how you won't be everyone's cup of tea, but you will be someone's shot of whiskey. So, which is more applicable for her, for where like I think her background is Irish, but mine would be like, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I'd be someone's glass of champagne. That'd be more,
Perfect.
but
The
just
champagne style.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just knowing that. And I think also how the lesson that I actually just learned at the mastermind of like, your story is so powerful and things that happen to you can be part of your story, but not your identity. And I also think another powerful lesson is really just the power of investing in personal development. It's not like a wild aha lesson for me, but it's just really the common denominator of a lot of people that I admire and that I aspire to be like, and having, you know, amazing relationships and big, beautiful lives and relationships and achievements, impact. Matt and I always talk about how like you'll know when Matt and Alli are really rich because I can't wait to have a dog sanctuary. Like I can't wait to just adopt so many dogs and give them a beautiful place to spend their life. And
I
just
love
things
that.
like that where you can dream a big so expansively, and that find the common denominator is also being around people that also really believe in personal development.
I think that, like, I say often, who am I now? because we aren't ever supposed to stay the same. And yet it's kind of a condition from generations that like to take the next leap or to change all of a sudden, that's such a scary dynamic. And what in our world stays the same?
Oh my gosh, I love that you said about change. I had an old friend, this is years ago. I still was pre-entrepreneurship life. And I had a moment or a dialogue for a few months with a girlfriend who effectively said, like, you've changed. And it was the first time I'd experienced that. So, like, your first times with some of those things don't land as softly. You learn from them. But if someone were to say that to you now, oh my gosh, what a freaking compliment. Thank you. I work so hard to try to change. So I really appreciate you noticing,
My gosh, yes to that.
right?
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
powerful reframe.
And being, as you said, surrounding yourself with people that are growth mindset, wanting more, looking for, what could be next for them. That is exactly the mindset that you want to be around for that. I think that recognition and being able to say that out loud too without being like, is that wrong? And it's not wrong. Like own that, claim that.
Because people work so hard, and I do that all the time with clients in the gym that are showing up day after day, working hard. A lot of them also investing in personal training. So that's like a second layer of investing. So I am not afraid to say, like, oh my God, Brittany, your butt is looking so good. Or like, look at your shoulders. Like, I will point out things that I can see that I know they've been working on. I'm a positive reinforcement, words of affirmation girl. I'm sure there's very few people that don't hate a compliment, especially if it's tied to something that they're working really hard on. So it takes me 30 seconds to take that time and pay a positive compliment.
Yes. Everyone wants to be at the core seen, heard, and valued, right? And so being able to reiterate that when you are working hard, yes to that. Yes.
Yes. And it goes back to like the whole visibility piece too of showing up. And even if people were to say, like, oh my gosh, Brittany, you've been crushing your Instagram stories recently. I really see how you're showing up because you have probably made intentional decisions and put in intentional effort to do that. So why would I hold back on giving you the compliment? Because I see you.
Yeah, for sure. I know. And it's funny because, so often, I think we've talked about this before, but just like so often, people don't hit the like or say things. And it's what does it cost you not to validate somebody else?
Oh my gosh, I know. Matt and I have seen this a few times in content that we've put out, whether it's us personal brand or for the business. And you're like, oh my gosh, they're not tagging. They're in a non-tagging season right now. Got it. Like we are in standoff. Like, okay.
Oh my gosh. Non-tagging. Yes, yes, and yes. I
Yeah,
think we
like
can
that
all
was a
feel that
non.
one.
Yeah,
Oh my
totally.
gosh.
Actually takes more effort and energy to like scroll, be like, ooh, Alli Arruda posted that. I'm not liking that. Next. Like it probably takes more energy and effort because you've had to like think through that and have that conversation with yourself versus just like double tap scroll.
Yeah, seriously. The like lurkers.
Yes.
Okay, so what is next for Allie and Matt and Benchmark? What are you guys doing right now? What is the next big thing?
Well, we've really had some great conversations recently about reframing our coaching to actually have a massive piece of it be with fitness. Because there's a ton of coaches out there. There's a lot of amazing coaches out there and masterminds and VIP days and support. I think everyone could benefit from it. But we would go back to the drawing board to see like what can we do differently? What are we like best known for? And for me personally is always energy. And for us, fitness. Like we have a brick and mortar gym and we offer online programs. So then figured like, oh my gosh, why don't we integrate that into our coaching? Because that also stems from our belief in building healthy habits, consistency, discipline. I always talk about my pull-up journey when it comes to consistency and and typically Matt will like roll his eyes and laugh because he hears it all the time. I was like, no, babe, it's a great analogy. I have been working on pull-ups for freaking years. And the same thing goes if you want to have a great business. You don't just, for the average person, you're not just going to have a super successful business in 3 months. You're
No.
probably not going to be able to do like 10 pull-ups in 3 months. It's the consistency game. It's the long game. So that's when we decided like, oh my gosh, it has to be infused into people that want to coach with us and now Matt and I are doing it together. So you get Matt and Allie which is two very different areas of expertise to coach together. And everyone would get a custom program so that they can stay on track with their fitness goals and start their day or midday, whenever they like to work out, infusing that extra energy to generate that and then pour that into their business and the growth that they want to achieve.
That's amazing. And I think, you just said, okay, we had to reevaluate and get back. It's like, it's right literally under your nose and you're already probably doing it at so many levels. So yes, it's so perfect.
Just take things that you already know and that you're already doing and package them in a different way. And I'm actually really excited about it now because I feel so fired up to I get to talk about all the things that I love. I get to talk about people's daily habits and fitness routines, but also how do they want to show up in their business? What areas do they want to grow in? How's their mindset? How are their relationships? So I'm really pumped about it and getting to just kind of combine everything together in a cute little sandwich.
I love all of this for you guys. And maybe one more takeaway, what has been the best part of you guys diving in, both as mentors and coaches for us in the MCM community, and then for yourself in your EEM part of the community?
Well, I've loved seeing so many of the relationships within the MCM mastermind unfold and people that are getting together in real life. I mean, I've actually been able to see people from MCM in real life, whether it be in Scottsdale, Newport Beach, Burlington. It's been so cool to take those online relationships into an in-person connection. And I think that's really cool about this type of mastermind being online. So you can be anywhere, but then you can also have the joy moments of meeting them in person. And also seeing and hearing people's wins. That is something that makes me so happy to my core of seeing people win in their business. Or some of them will also say, like, hey, I went to the gym 5 times this week, and that was a big goal for me. I freaking love that. So love that so much. And actually, one thing I'll say kind of to bridge between MCM and EEM and even going back to things that are important to me, I love when we go to our masterminds in person and everyone stays at the same hotel. You go to the gym in the morning, guess who you see there?
So true. So true. Yes.
It's full of
Everyone leads themselves first when they are deep rooted in personal development.
Totally. And that's one thing that last year, Matt and I invested in a Chris and Lori event. It was called the Dinner Series. And so we went to all 3 of them in 3 different cities. So stayed at 3 different hotels with a bunch of like awesome people. And the gym every trip bumping with fellow Dinner Series guests. And that was the first time I really noticed that. And then the same thing this year in the Elite Entrepreneur Mastermind, that between sort of like 5:30, 6, and 8, the gym is very busy with your peers. And I think that really speaks volumes to the relationship between exercise and movement and personal development and being elite at business. So I wanted to make sure I shared that because I had thought that like 30 minutes ago. And then for us in the Elite Mastermind, fun fact is that I've actually had it on my vision board for about 4 years, maybe 5. And we had a conversation, oh gosh, this was months ago. And actually we were visiting Chris and Lori and they had asked us about it. I was like, I don't know, I got to make sure we qualify. And so then we did a solid recap on our numbers. And that was a really cool moment to be like, oh my God, we qualify.
No kidding.
That was a really, I'm so glad you asked that question, Brittany. Thank you. Because I actually feel like we have not taken enough time to acknowledge that. And I think it's so easy to get caught up, month over month of, okay, like what's the revenue this month? And do we hit it? What was our goals? And I'm notorious for like setting a goal. And if we're like 3K off, I'd be like, oh, we didn't hit it. Matt is very realistic. He's a CFO in our business. And he's like, we brought in this, like this is a great number for the business. But I'm so goal oriented that I was like, well, I just see the 3K gap and that's annoying. So
you have to have those glimmers along the way, right? Like the wins along the way definitely bring in that like dopamine hit and want us to like get back to doing more or hitting that 3K next month, right?
Totally. And I remember going through a tough season. This was last year in our business. We had a change in a service offering. And I was like, you know what, Matt? No problem. That service business has left benchmark. I will make up the difference in revenue. I will train more and I will make it up so that there's no dollars left. And I love a good challenge. So I was like, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to bring more. And it was actually so satisfying to be like, whoa, I did it. So I think if you are so driven and you have things like that change, then take it as a challenge. And maybe if sometimes if you're someone who responds well to like positive reinforcement and rewards, attach like make a big stretch goal and attach a reward to it.
For
But
sure.
that was a
Yes.
big tangent to the elite mastermind. So just being able to really celebrate that, okay, it was on my vision board. We do qualify. And we went. And honestly, one of the best things about it is the people. We have made some truly amazing relationships and friendships with people. And I remember our one peer, Cosmos, had said back in the first in person one in March of earlier this year, of like, why are you here? And he's like, I wanted to pay you to make some high level, successful, high achieving friends. And I think the whole room were like, oh my God, yes, that's a great point. And I think that again speaks to the purpose and the magic of investing in being in rooms, whether it is online and virtual, and you can have, breakout rooms where you can really connect, maybe build relationships offline, or in person, if they're an evening event, a full day event, multi-day event, being able to get in person with people and being in that energetic match of humans that you all have one thing in common. You're all there to better yourself. So
Absolutely.
you already have one shared value.
Mm-hmm. Pay like the proximity, right? The proximity piece, you're paying to get in those rooms, but also that's what's now going to allow you to expand because you're having new conversations. And it's so funny because this isn't like a new concept or idea or anything, but so many people are like, why would you, And you don't know until you actually choose to do that for yourself, why exactly it works for you. But I mean, I'm just thinking there's so many business forums, there's YPO that's been around forever, there's so many different things. And now you're able to afford yourself to be in this mastermind that will now ask the questions of you, even if they're, as we were saying, right under our nose, to be like, yes, that makes sense. I need to do this.
Absolutely. And I think being able to look back to see, like, I remember reading a book back in summer of 2020. It's by Carrie Green. It's called She Means Business. And it was the time where it was like fun to be at home. I was like, we're business is closed. I'm going to read all these books. And I recognized that, well, I have all this extra time. I'm going to do all of the like actionable journal prompts attached to this book, which so often I skip over. It's like a toxic trait with me in personal development books. I was like, oh, journal prompt, next chapter. Because I don't have time for that. But this one I did. And it had so many great exercises about asking, who would I love to be friends with? Who would I love to be in business with? And it is so cool to see how some of the names on those pages have come into fruition. And so I think if everyone listening can even hear that as like inspiration, that no dream is too far away, whether it's, a business dream or just someone you want to be friends with or have a relationship with. One of our trainers at Benchmark, I think she heard this story. I have an Instagram reel about it way back in my archives, and I've talked about it on podcast episodes. And she told me one day at the gym, like she now works for Matt and I. She's amazing. Her name is Kayla. And Kayla said, she's like, oh my gosh, you were on my list. And I was like, really? She's like, oh yeah. Like I remember seeing you here and here, and I totally wanted to be friends with you. And like she's since come to our masterminds. We've done coaching together, and she's on our team at Benchmark. And it's been so amazing having her in our team, but also like watching her growth and development is very, very cool.
It is. Yeah. Ask for what you want, put it out there, and start working towards it in whatever capacity that looks like. Thank you so much for your time today. Where can everybody find you? I will make sure to tag everything in the show notes as well. But
probably the place that I spend the most time is Instagram. So it's at Alli Arruda, ALLIARRUDA. And you can also, if you're local in the Burlington area, you can come check us out at Benchmark. It's at Benchmark Burlington. But we also do like online programs. So you can check us out there and see what our vibe is, if it's an energetic match, and would love to hang out with you. Or you can listen to my podcast, Inspire and Move with Alli Arruda. But all of those details, I'm sure, will be in the show notes and just a click away.
Just a click away. Thank you so much, Alli. Really appreciate you and your time.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me and all your amazing questions and just a really beautiful conversation. I'm grateful for the time.